whole session is building background images and making templates and reports live inside the session. Building things with tools you already own. For example, like how would you build a background with Paint? How would you build a background with PowerPoint? Those are things you can build backgrounds with currently. And then we're going to go up to like let's call it the Pro Tools, right? Then we're going to get into Figma, and we'll build some stuff with Figma and show you some techniques and tricks that I use there. And then from the output of this, we'll just build a bunch of visuals. The second talk I'm going to be talking about is CI/CD for your organization. So this is a hot topic right now. Everyone wants to know how to build continuous integration, continuous deployment. What does this look like for your organization? I'm trying to do examples around, there's different levels of this. If you have a pro license versus if you have premium per user and something that's capacity driven, what happens when you use a pipeline? Do you need to use a pipeline every single time? So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. Kind of go through examples in different places. I think really ultimately CI/CD is how mature is your organization? How comfortable are you working in Git and Git-like things? You can form a process that fits to like whatever your comfort is based on the skills of your organization.
I got a few thoughts on what you're going to be speaking about. One, let's talk about the visual side. One, if I signed up for that, I think you'd have to charge extra, because if you're going to try to get me to do Paint, I've gotten a lot better in my design, but the wrist drawing, still tough. But two, would you consider that like an old school training class now? Because it's still relevant, as you were talking about them, like, legacy, like you're talking about building backgrounds and everything. Maybe it's just because we've been doing those trainings for so long already. They're still relevant, but it almost feels like it's an old school course.
Again, my feeling is a lot of people know how to build reports, but there's a less of an audience that knows how to build good looking reports. And for me, it's a matter of like, where do you do the work, right? So there's a little bit of like nuances around, okay, how do you build the theme file right? How do you stylize the visuals correctly? And, it's this idea of, well, does the background image become extremely plain and you drop a bunch of visuals on it? Or do you make the background a little bit more elaborate and put some text on it that you can't have in the report?
Right.
Or like, so to me, it's like, what are the breakpoints? Like, what are the different options you could get building one way or another? And so I built a lot of backgrounds. I've built probably hundreds of them now at this point. I'm trying to kind of consolidate that experience down and say, look, here's what I have found. Like, here's things that you want to build a good looking report that is flexible enough for people to use it as a template. Because sometimes people build a good looking report template that's so narrow that no one can use it. Like you have to have 3 boxes across the top for KPIs. Well, I don't know if I'm going to have 3 KPI boxes across the top. Like how do you build it so it's flexible? Like you can get as many as you want. So it's those kind of like very nuanced things that I feel like people aren't really talking about. And that's what I'm going to try and spend a little time on.
Are you going to be talking, because you mentioned something called breakpoints, and I'm intrigued. Are you going to be talking about in the course when to stop? Because I've seen great looking reports that had a single page, 180 objects on it. And my immediate thought is that's not worth it. And I think what we're always trying to do is, how well can I make this look with the least amount of effort, so to speak, right? Because you can build something looking great, but if no one cares about the extra design, well, then how worth it does that actually make your time?